Trump just sued America's largest bank for $5 billion. JPMorgan Chase and CEO Jamie Dimon are being accused of debanking, closing Trump's accounts for political reasons. The lawsuit claims banks are weaponizing finance against conservatives. But JPMorgan says they closed accounts due to January 6th and business risk. One side sees corporate censorship, the other sees consequences for insurrection. Today, SOPHIA and Liam clash. Is debanking the new cancel culture? Or are banks just protecting themselves from toxic clients? Here's the explosive story. Trump filed a $5 billion lawsuit against JPMorgan Chase, CEO Jamie Dimon, and several other major banks. The lawsuit claims these banks systematically closed Trump's accounts, his family's accounts, and accounts of Trump-affiliated businesses after January 6th. Trump calls it politically motivated debanking, using financial services as a weapon against conservatives. But here's what's going to shock you by the end of this video. This isn't just about Trump. Thousands of conservatives, crypto companies, and politically controversial figures claim they've been debanked. Some say it's the biggest threat to free speech nobody's talking about. Others say it's banks avoiding legal liability. The lawsuit specifically names Jamie Dimon, who Trump claims personally ordered the account closures. JPMorgan denies everything, saying they never debanked Trump and all decisions were standard risk management. Trump wants $5 billion in damages, plus a court order forcing banks to provide services regardless of political views. SOPHIA says this lawsuit is desperate victimhood. Liam says it's exposing corporate tyranny.
This lawsuit is absolutely ridiculous. Trump is playing victim after leading an insurrection and facing massive legal consequences. Banks didn't debank him for politics. They cut ties because he's a legal and reputational nightmare. Let's be clear. Banks are private companies. They can choose their clients just like any business can refuse service. If a bakery can refuse to make a gay wedding cake, which conservatives defended, then a bank can refuse to do business with someone who incited January 6 JPMorgan and other banks looked at Trump's legal exposure for criminal indictments, massive civil fraud judgments, the January 6 liability, and made a business decision. That's not political persecution. That's risk management. Would you do business with someone facing billions in legal judgments? And this $5 billion number? Pure fantasy. Trump has no damages. He's banking elsewhere. This is a publicity stunt to fundraise off his base and attack Jamie Dimon, who refused to support Trump politically. It's weaponizing the courts for political revenge.
SOPHIA just defended the most dangerous corporate overreach in modern American history. Let me explain what's really happening. Debanking isn't about Trump. It's a systematic campaign by major banks to shut conservatives, crypto companies, religious organizations, and politically incorrect businesses out of the financial system. Operation Chokepoint 2.0. Banks are colluding with government agencies to deny services based on politics. Trump's lawsuit reveals internal JPMorgan documents showing they flagged MAGA, Trump, and conservative as risk factors. That's political discrimination. Imagine if banks denied services to Democrats or Black Lives Matter supporters. SOPHIA would be screaming discrimination. The private company argument is garbage. Banks aren't fully private. They're heavily regulated, federally insured, and receive massive government support. They can't discriminate based on race or religion. Why should political viewpoint be different? These are essential services. Without banking, you can't participate in modern economy. That's not free market. That's corporate authoritarianism.
JPMorgan denies these internal documents exist. Trump is making evidence up for his victim narrative.
The lawsuit cites specific emails and policies. If they don't exist, JPMorgan should immediately release their compliance criteria. They won't because they're hiding it.
Banks assess risk. Trump is high risk after January 6th. That's not politics. That's business reality.
Then why are crypto companies, religious groups, and gun manufacturers also being debanked? They didn't do January 6th.
So we've got $5 billion lawsuits, claims of corporate censorship, and banks denying everything. But here's what neither side is saying. And this is crucial. There's a massive legal gray area here that could reshape banking forever. Before we dive into that, I need to know where you stand. SOPHIA, blue symbol. Banks can choose clients. This is frivolous. Liam, red symbol. This is corporate tyranny. Debanking is real. Your vote matters because this could set precedent for financial services nationwide. Now, let's examine the legal earthquake this case could trigger.
Let me destroy Liam's conspiracy theory with actual law and facts. First, banks are not public utilities. They're private entities with contractual freedom to choose clients. Every account agreement has termination clauses. JPMorgan didn't deny Trump service arbitrarily. They exercised contract rights after evaluating his massive legal liabilities. Second, there's no legal right to banking services. Courts have repeatedly held that banks can close accounts for business reasons. What you can't do is discriminate based on protected classes, race, religion, national origin. Trump supporter is not a protected class. Third, the timing argument is nonsense. Banks closed accounts after January 6th, after Trump incited violence that resulted in deaths, injuries, and an attempted overthrow of government. Associating with someone under investigation for seditious conspiracy is legitimate business risk. Any competent bank would distance itself. And Operation Chokepoint? That was about targeting illegal operations, payday lenders violating state laws, offshore gambling operations. Liam is conflating legitimate law enforcement with imaginary political persecution. Trump's lawsuit will get laughed out of court.
SOPHIA keeps saying, private companies like that settles it. But these aren't regular private companies. They're government-backed monopolies operating essential infrastructure. Here's what SOPHIA won't admit. The Federal Reserve, FDIC, and Treasury Department have pressured banks to close accounts of politically disfavored industries. We have documented evidence. Biden's DOJ issued guidance treating certain legal businesses, gun manufacturers, crypto exchanges, conservative nonprofits, as high risk, requiring enhanced scrutiny. That's government using private banks to do what it can't do directly. Silence political opposition. The $5 billion isn't fantasy. It's based on business losses, reputational damage, and punitive damages for coordinated discrimination. Discovery in this lawsuit will expose the collusion between government agencies and banks. Internal communications will show political targeting. And here's the terrifying precedent. If banks can deny services for political views, they control who participates in society. No bank account, no paycheck deposit, no rent payments, no business transactions. You're economically erased. That's not free market. That's totalitarian control by corporate oligarchs. China's social credit system through the back door.
There's zero evidence of government collusion. This is paranoid conspiracy theory substituting for legal argument.
Then let's have discovery. Let's see the communications between Treasury, DOJ, and JPMorgan. If there's nothing to hide, they should welcome transparency.
And there's the fundamental question. Can banks deny services for political reasons? Should they? Where's the line between business freedom and essential services discrimination? Trump's lawsuit forces courts to decide if banking is a right or a privilege. If banks win, they can deny anyone for any non-protected reason, including politics. If Trump wins, banks become public utilities that must serve everyone regardless of viewpoint. Both outcomes reshape American capitalism. But here's that uncomfortable truth we promised. Both sides are right about one thing. There is a war over who controls access to financial services. Banks are making political calculations, and government agencies are involved in those decisions. The real question is whether that's legitimate risk management or authoritarian control, because this debanking debate connects to something even bigger happening right now. While Trump fights JPMorgan, there's another massive battle between Trump and the Federal Reserve. Trump wants to fire Fed Governor Lisa Cook, claiming presidential power over the federal. Every living Fed chair and Treasury secretary just united against Trump in a rare Supreme Court filing. Same pattern. Trump versus financial institutions. Trump versus independence of economic policy. The JPMorgan lawsuit is just one front in a much larger war over who controls America's economic levers of power. Is Trump defending democracy from corporate tyranny? Or is he trying to bend every institution, banks, Fed, courts, to his personal will? That Federal Reserve battle is exploding right now. SOPHIA and Liam are about to go nuclear over whether Trump can fire Fed officials. The Supreme Court will decide if presidential power extends to the Federal Reserve. That video is queued up next. The stakes. Control of the entire U.S. economy. You don't want to miss this.